I was always an innocent kid in school. I never skipped classes, I never bullied anyone, and I never cheated. The last 3 years leading up to my senior year of high school, I had failed a math final that was crucial in order to get my diploma. I would get amazing grades in the classes themselves, but fail the finals. My teacher would give us a lecture saying it's always important to study the night before and get a good night's rest. I've tried that on several different occasions, and I still failed. And it was probably because of the intense amount of pressure and anxiety that went through my body. When the day of this final came around, however, I wasn't looking forward to it. I had studied the night before, but being as stressed out as I was, all the stuff that I studied for, all the knowledge that was in my head, disappeared. I didn't know what to do. My mind was just so blank. When the test started, the teacher handed it out, saying, no phones, no cheating, blah 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 blah, all this, that, and the third, and we began. My mind just started telling me, oh, you're gonna fail this. You might as well just get up and walk out of this class right now. Consider yourself a failure. Go to summer school. I didn't know how to handle this, and I wanted to just get up and walk out of the class and just say, I'll take the summer school, or I'll repeat the 12th grade, but my parents would have killed me for it. With only a half an hour left, and only 10 out of 50 questions answered, I felt defeated. While I was going to be on the verge of tears, I noticed something. The student in front of me had already finished his test, and he left it on the floor next to him. With only a half an hour left and this many answers, I had to take this risk. So I copied every one of his answers on that final. The bell rang. I just filled in the last answer too, dropped off the test, picked up my bag, and walked out. I got a call from my guidance counselor about 2 weeks later, and he told me that I passed my final. I was overjoyed to hear that. As soon as I got home that day, I told my mom and dad that I was going to be graduating on time. They were so proud of me. I was happy for passing, but that same night, I felt guilty because I cheated. On graduation day, as I was receiving my diploma, watching everybody stand up and cheer, all I could hear was a little voice in my head telling me, you don't deserve this. You don't deserve that diploma. You don't deserve the recognition you're getting right now. And my mind was right, but I couldn't say anything. So to all you seniors out there who are struggling with the same problem I'm having right now, or had, just know that cheating isn't the answer.
We want to thank the Great Courses Plus for sponsoring this story. The Great Courses Plus is an on-demand video learning service that gives you access to
Throughout my school years, I was always a good and responsible student. I completed my work on time and studied well for almost all the tests. But one morning, I opened my eyes due to the loud sound coming from my cell phone. I received a text from my close friend who asked me, "Did you study for the English quiz today?" And I was terrified. I jumped out of my bed immediately. I was thinking of what I should do since I did not have any time left to prepare for the test. And then an idea popped in my head and began taking notes, but not on paper. Instead, on the palms of both of my hands. I wrote everything we had to learn for the test. The test was taking place during first period. I took my seat, saw the test, and cringed. During the test, I tried my best not to have any eye contacts with the teacher or my classmates, and just focus on the assignment. But I couldn't help myself, as my mind almost went blank. Hands were shaking as I was trying to read my notes, but at the same time, hide them. I kept looking at the clock, ticking every few seconds, but time just seemed to be frozen. After the long-lasting 30 minutes have passed, the teacher said, "Hand in your papers." I was so relieved that I wasn't caught, and then suddenly a feeling of a cool rain washing away all the weight on my shoulders. When everyone had in their work, Miss Smith continued the lesson explaining a new topic. I innocently raised my hand to ask a question, without noticing that the palm of my hand had all the notes for the quiz, and that's when I felt as if I'm about to explode. Miss Smith screamed, "What's on your hand?" and she called me to her front desk. I was shaking. The teacher questioned me what was on my hand, and I did not want to tell her at first. I kept my hands in the pockets of my jeans and pretended it was something else. But she insisted on having a look at it herself, and that's when she found out that I cheated. At that exact moment, I just wanted to crawl into a small box and hide from it all. To teach me a lesson, she gave me a lunch duty, meaning I had to clean the school cafeteria for exactly a week. So every lunchtime I had to go to the cafeteria and not eat, but clean after all the others, and it was terrible, especially when people would stare at me and ask, "How did you get that?" And I didn't know what to say because it was quite embarrassing. And after this incident, I became a lot more careful and thoughtful of my assignments.
The first time I went to take my driving test, everything was fine and dandy. I brought everything necessary to take the test. I waited till the DMV called my name, then I got in my car to start the test. As we were driving around, I was doing everything right. I was checking my mirrors, had a safe 3 to start the test. As we were driving around, I was doing everything right. I was checking my mirrors, had a safe 3 to 5 second following distance, and was constantly scanning and focusing on the road. At the end of the test, however, the driving test person told me to turn into a neighborhood and do a reverse turn around the corner. The first time I did it, I ended up in the middle of the street. So she let me do it again, telling me to stay in my lane. The second time I did it, I ended up in the middle of the street again. She took some notes, and as I was driving back to the DMV, she told me I did everything well except reverse turn around a corner, so I didn't pass. But I should practice that turn and come back in a week. Even though I was slightly disappointed, I understood my mistake and practiced reverse turning around a corner every day the next week. After a week, I finally went back to take the test, except I had a different lady testing me. I was a little nervous from failing the first time, but I tried to push that nervousness out of my head. Right when I turned out of the DMV to start my second test, the driving tester yelled, "This is your second test and you make that mistake? You just turned with another car coming full speed into this lane." I was so shaken up, I didn't even completely realize what I was doing wrong. Next, she told me to switch lanes, and I did as quickly as possible because I was so scared that she would yell at me again. But then she did and said I cut off the person driving behind me. She was so angry that she literally said, "I can't even finish your test. You need so much more practice. We are going back right now." When we pulled into the DMV, I saw my dad's smiling face, hoping I had passed, but I just started crying. The driving tester got out of my car and slammed the door, and I shook my head no as my dad came to the car asking if I had passed. I was so embarrassed. I failed yet again. The next month, I drove a lot more and practiced as much as I could to get comfortable again. When I decided to take the test again, we went to a different DMV because I was too afraid that I would get one of the driving testers I had before. This time, I had a very nice man who made me feel comfortable by asking about my summer and speaking a little about his. When we pulled into the parking lot after he had me do all the parts of the test, he said, "Wow, you did so well. What made you fail the first 2 times?" Finally passing with such a response made the 2 driving test failures worth it.
I was turning 13. It was my 13th birthday party, and I had one friend with me in Hawaii. We were in the pool, we were laughing, making videos. It was really great. At night, it was sort of our time to wind down, go to bed, check our phones, and one night we were going through who didn't have an Instagram account in our class, and we came across this one girl, let's call her Macy. Macy didn't have an Instagram account, so we were like, let's just make one for her, she won't mind, right? And let's just say Macy and I didn't have some good feelings being exchanged between us at the time, and we never really did. So it was really funny. We're like, oh, we'll just make an Instagram account and it's gonna be fine. So we made the Instagram account and we uploaded her profile picture as her having a double chin, and we uploaded the bio as "I'm super pretty, I like unicorns and soccer." After we created the account, we posted horrible screenshots of her looking not very good, And we were like, haha, this is so funny. Everyone, when they see it, it's gonna just be a joke. They're just gonna be like, oh, haha, that was funny. But unfortunately, the night we both came back from Hawaii, we both got an email from Macy's parents targeting us out for what we did. And we didn't know how they knew, and we denied it. And our parents were freaking out, saying, oh my God, why'd you do this? Is this true? And I was like so scared. I was crying. I'm like, no. I was just like so scared to admit to my parents that I did such a thing. So I lied until they eventually got it out of me. We go to school the next day, and we get humiliated in front of the whole class because the dean of school told everyone who made the Instagram account, and we were sitting there, and it was honestly the most embarrassing situation I've ever been in. I felt like I was gonna puke, and my friend didn't know what was gonna happen, so she started to cry, and it was just so humiliating. After that, I apologized to Macy. She's one of my best friends right now, and we became really good friends. We hang out a lot, and she forgave me. Anyways, if you're thinking of making an account of your friend, just don't do it.